Hey YouTube, it's Cash. So happy Halloween. This episode is kind of inspired by Halloween a little bit. In the last episode, I did some random music on cassette, and this week I decided to take that and kind of show or demonstrate a little bit, aside from what I'm leading up to, which is going to be a performance with my test equipment, what you can do with that, and how I'm going to kind of take it like a little bit extreme and kind of show you how easily it is to kind of fit things together, with something, like that. So this is part 3. The next episode will be part 4, which will be the final episode in this series. This week, intended to go a little sinister with what I did last week. That's why I kind of did these 2 episodes really close together to kind of like show you. They're actually like, I could have done them as one episode, but it was almost like too much information for one. I want to take my hands out of the creation process a little bit, at least from the foundation standpoint, just to kind of show both with rhythm and bass, how this could all kind of come together. I needed a foundation first. So what I did is I decided to take something, this is inspired, or at least was first shown to me by Heimbach. So I took this device, which is a Soma Ether. I think this is like a version 1. I think the one Heimbach has is a version 2. I'll also put a link to either here or down there. He does a whole episode on it. It's really cool. This is a electromagnetic field recorder. So it just those electromagnetic fields around us all the time, and this basically turns this into an audible form. It just has like an 1/8-inch jack on the back. You can like touch the 2 things on top, and it creates some sound. So I took this. And I got this guy here. You've seen this probably in a previous episode, I think, when I was doing some of that FlexiDisc stuff, when I was doing some stuff with the photo synthesizer gadget that I had. Basically, it's like a roadside emergency light. It has different, see that? It's got different flashes and things like that, and also has like, a flashlight too. Where is it? There it is. Hey. So basically, what I did is I took this, and I'm taking the electromagnetic frequencies from this and just basically recording it with this. So this is completely, aside from the rhythms that this can kind of come up with like that, it's pretty out of my control for the most part. And then I took this and I fed it into this Alexander Marshmallow, which is a really cool pedal. When I take this and I put it through here, all you hear as far as like the foundation to this layering, as far as the bass, and there's like a keyboard effect, is done with these. So this kind of chooses the notes, and that's pretty much what you're hearing. I also put that through a Earthquaker pitch bay, and that also created more like a chord than anything, but the actual like moving bass line is actually made by this. I wanted to add a little bit of like creation on my part, or a little bit of influence, so I took a Bebot app, and, I played that through another Alexander pedal. This is the Alexander Syntax Error. And then I put that through, I needed some reverb. So I put that through the Blood Noise Endeavors Minim. This is a really cool pedal as well. And it kind of like had this kind of Doctor Who synth effect, which I thought was really cool. And so it gave me a little bit of a way to kind of make it be more part of the performance. But here's an interesting thing about this whole thing, is that I didn't listen to the original recording when I recorded this at all. I basically just, let this do its thing with the bass line and this keyboard part, and then I just played this synth part over top of this with the electromagnetic recorder. And I just looked over my shoulder at the WAV file behind me on my DAW, and just waited until the song was over, and then I stopped recording, but I didn't actually listen to it at all. So that's just to kind of prove my point about how easily it is to kind of like make something like this, once you already have that randomness kind of track established. And also, I didn't pay too much attention to the pitches really that much either. It kind of goes a little bit haywire in a couple spots, but I think for the most part, I think it turned out pretty cool. The whole point of this is because I'm really getting into these polyrhythms, which is like when you kind of like have these 2 rhythms that are going independently, and then they kind of like hit each other in certain moments. I think it's really interesting when that happens. Sometimes like even when I'm doing my test equipment setup, I'm just playing around with my pulse generators. I'll sometimes just not use a clock and just let them go at different times, and it creates this really interesting like rhythm effect when they're all kind of going. What happens is that they actually, you find your brain, your mind kind of like finds this rhythm, in them kind of swirling into each other. Your perception kind of like finds it, which is interesting. So that's kind of like what this is about, and also how this is going to play into my test equipment episode, or the final episode. There'll be more manipulation on top of that as well, which I mentioned in the last one too. So stay tuned for that. I got some really interesting things coming up for the next series as well. I got something really cool for that. So stay tuned. Make sure to like, subscribe if you like what I'm doing, and I'll try not to disappoint you. Thank you.